What would happen, Luke, if both Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev lost their impending battles? Thomas recently brought up this unsettling scenario in which Islam loses his welterweight debut against Jack Della, and Ilia is stopped by Charles Oliveira. Luke called it an absolute disaster, and he's not wrong. However, the implications would be significant because the UFC is already dealing with a star power drought, and Pereira recently lost Conor McGregor. Once the biggest name in the sport, is too busy sniffing drugs off dubious surfaces to be taken seriously if either Islam or Ilia are two of the few current headliners. Losing that momentum, even temporarily, could highlight the UFC's current dearth of new blockbuster stars. If both of these champions go down, it would be a serious blow, but if they both go down, it would be a full-blown crisis. These two champions represent not only dominance in their respective divisions, but also new international markets and devoted fan bases.
Topuria loses to Charles and Islam loses to JDM. What does the UFC do next with both? Boy, wouldn't that be a fucking mess, huh? Islam might go back down, or they might just give him, one more like #1 contender to get back up there. Ilia going up there and losing to me is a little bit worse because Islam is closer to the end of his run, much more so than Ilia probably is. So for Ilia to go up and then just have that like blow up in his face, that would be a mess too, because you're now trying to build a global superstar, right? Which is what he can do, or get meaningfully closer doing if he ends up getting a second UFC title. You get much closer to that. If that comes undone, I don't know. They might book an immediate rematch. They might encourage him to go back to 45. I don't know. If both Islam loses and Ilia loses and Jones Aspinall never happens, you're talking about an all-time disaster of a year.
Michael Bisping recently dissected the championship matchup between Khamzat Chimaev and Du Plessis, emphasizing that the move up to middleweight is crucial for Khamzat's health as well as for his career. The brutal weight cut to 170 was never sustainable, and moving up allows his body to recover better, breathe easier, and perform without the drain of a massive cut. In fact, Bisping encouraged more fighters to consider moving up a division if they're struggling with cuts, saying that the long-term benefits are worth it. When it comes to Khamzat, that advice couldn't be more pertinent, as his health problems have followed him since his UFC debut. From poorly executed weight cuts to severe, even though he appeared to be a monster in the early rounds due to COVID complications, his gas tank past the third is still unknown, which is why this 5-round title fight with Du Plessis is so intriguing. If DDP has proven anything, it is that he can go deep for 5 rounds. He may not be the cleanest or flashiest striker, but his cardio pressure and toughness are elite. He survived wars with Sean Strickland and Izzy and didn't slow down. Therefore, while Khamzat may dominate early, as he always does, the real question is what happens in those championship rounds, which is where Dricus shines.
Now, the conditioning is going to be key for Khamzat because moving up to 185, the conditioning will be improved. The strength will be improved. He can take on more nutrients. He can recover better between training sessions. I don't know why everyone doesn't move up a weight class. I said this on a video yesterday, and I'm saying it again right now. Everyone just move up a weight class, okay? The sport will be better. And do you know what we do? We add a cruiserweight weight class, 225 pounds, so the light heavyweights can move up as well. I think that is the answer to all of these problems. The fighters will recover, they will feel better, they won't get injured, they won't be pulling out, and we're going to get better fights where people are going for it and they can take better shots and land better shots. Anyway, since he's come up to 185, Khamzat Chimaev is looking great, okay? But I'm just saying, against Dricus Du Plessis, this guy's not easy to fight, okay? People talk about this herky-jerky offbeat rhythm, and he does have kind of a unique style. But you cannot say that this is not effective.
An unexpected but fascinating development that fans weren't prepared for, according to the highly respected publication Bloody Elbow. Alex Pereira is traveling to Thailand for a long-awaited reunion, with Jon Jones ahead of his rematch with Magomed. Jones is currently in Thailand filming an odd Russian reality show with Nate Diaz and even Hezbollah, and it is anticipated that he will engage in some serious training with Pereira. This unexpected alliance is the result of their brief encounter back at UFC 306, where the two champions expressed mutual respect and hinted at a potential future fight. Now that training session seems to be actually taking place. It's a unique moment in MMA. As Pereira prepares for his second fight with Uncle, a rematch that the Russian claims was offered earlier this year, but was initially turned down by Alex, the former light heavyweight champion teams up with the heavyweight king. Meanwhile, Jones continues to be outspoken about his dissatisfaction with the UFC, even though Dana White has promised that he will fight in 2025 for the heavyweight title unification bout with Tom Aspinall, which is still unbooked. Jon recently criticized the promotion for its lack of openness, saying he had already given them access to his timeline and asking why fans are kept in the dark about whether it's happening on or inside the cage. A reality program, I told the UFC my plans a long time ago, and I have no idea why they haven't shared them with you guys yet. Khamzat Chimaev may have finally faced his most difficult stylistic test in Du Plessis, at least according to two men who know a thing or two about both Strickland and Chael Sonnen, who recently broke down the matchup, raising some doubts. It seems like both Pereira and Jones are making moves, just not the ones people expected. Stripped LOL. Do I come across as the kind of person who cares about things like that? That the majority of fans most likely don't take into account. He asked if Khamzat would be allowed to remove Du Plessis whenever he wants or keep him there. Chael said that things might rapidly turn around for the champion if DDP can defend takedowns early. But if Khamzat pulls him down in round 1, things could go south quickly. In an interview with Helen Ye, Strickland, a man who has faced Du Plessis twice, expressed similar worries while acknowledging Khamzat's skillful wrestling and aggression. Sonnen still believes Khamzat will win the betting, but he doesn't discount the South African's tenacity and underappreciated grappling ability. Strickland stated unequivocally that if Dricus is able to stuff the takedowns and counter-wrestle, he will win the fight hands down. He even went on to say that although he personally could handle the majority of those unquote Chechens in the gym, he is unsure if DDP can do the same, but if he can, the former champion thinks the belt stays in place. This championship bout is looking to be one of the most exciting matchups of the year. Do you think fight fans think Khamzat will be able to overwhelm Dricus in the early rounds and end the fight early? Or will the South African be able to counter the undefeated Chechen's aggressive style and drown him over 5 rounds to solidify himself as the prevailing power at 185? Comment below.